Hello and welcome. K-Don Enterprises is proud to present this video on how to play the game Endpoint. This product, as well as many other games and puzzles, can be found at www.gamepuzzles.com. Endpoint is a two-player strategy game where the goal of the game is to be the first player to remove all of their pieces from the board. A piece will exit if it stops at any one of the 5 intersections at the opposite side of the board, the other player's endpoints. Released in 2001, Endpoint was honored by Games Magazine by being included in their list of the 100 best new games of the year. The rulebook contains descriptions for 3 different games with diagrams and strategy hints, as well as 5 solitaire puzzles. This video will demonstrate how to play the primary game, Endpoint. To distinguish between the rules, strategy, and demonstration commentary, the rule text will be colored yellow, and the strategy hint text will be colored blue. The Endpoint board. The wooden board is laser etched with straight lines and curves that make up the playing arena. The lines and intersections along the edges of the board are also part of the play area. If we divide the board along the center horizontal and vertical lines, we will see that the quadrants are identical, except for their orientation. By studying how these lines and curves connect and flow, you will be able to develop strategies for playing the game. There are 5 areas of importance on the board. The straight line running horizontally across the middle of the board is the center line. The center line is only important during the setup phase of the game. The intersections on either side of the center line are the home areas for each player. Like the center line, the home areas are only important during the setup phase of the game. The 5 intersections closest to each player are the player's endpoints. The endpoints are important during the movement phase of the game. In order to exit a piece, players must stop on one of the 5 endpoints located in the other player's home area. Preparing to play Endpoint. The players must decide which player will move first. Any method can be used. The player moving second gets first choice of their playing piece color. The game's design ensures that there is no advantage or disadvantage to going first or second. The setup phase. Each player has 15 pieces to control during the game. Pieces are placed on intersections with their felt side facing up. The center line is neutral territory and may not be occupied during the setup phase. The first player begins by placing a piece in their home area. The second player then places 2 pieces in their home area. Players should consider using one of the 2 pieces to counter or block the other player's last move. Players then alternate placing 2 pieces at a time on the board in their respective home areas. When the second player has only 1 piece remaining, they place that piece in their home area. This signals the end of the setup phase. Please note that the placement and moves shown here were optimized for this demonstration, not for actual gameplay. Strategy hints. During the setup phase, try to create a defensive barrier on and around your endpoints. While you won't be able to indefinitely maintain this barrier and still win the game, you do want to create obstacles that will slow down the other player's progress. One of the keys to winning the game is identifying the best time to abandon your defensive position and work on getting your pieces off the board. Playing Endpoint. The way a piece moves depends on the position of the green felt that covers one side of each piece. With the felt side facing up, pieces are called sliders because they slide along the lines and curves on the board. With the felt side facing down, pieces are called jumpers because they jump over other pieces following the same lines and curves. When a move is complete, the piece is flipped over, changing how the piece will move the next time it is used. Since the movement of a piece alternates between sliding and jumping, pre-planning your move will increase your likelihood of success. You should also identify alternate moves in case the other player blocks your planned move sequence. We will use the game on the right to demonstrate the rules and strategies used in playing Endpoint. Moving sliders. For the first move, we see that the dark piece player has decided to move this piece to this intersection. The player may stop the piece on any unoccupied intersection, including the center line. At the end of the move, the piece is flipped over. The next time this piece moves, it will move as a jumper. The second player follows with a complex slide, following the curved and merging lines to move their piece to here. A piece may move any distance but may not go past another piece in its path. At the end of the move, remember to flip the piece over. There are some pathways that do not merge smoothly into other pathways at an intersection. A piece cannot travel past these intersections. The move ends at this point, so the piece is flipped over. Let's identify the pathways that seem to continue but actually end at an intersection. The arrows show direction of travel, and the lines highlight the pathways that end. The dots and rings identify similar intersections on the symmetrical board. When following a curved pathway, make sure you follow the correct curve. The piece has reached an intersection that seems to have two pathway choices. Taking the left path is incorrect because it is part of a different curve. The correct path travels to the right, as shown here. The move is complete, so the piece is flipped over. Let's look at another pair of pathways that seem to merge but do not. The dark piece player moves this piece and seems to find multiple pathways at the intersection. But as you can see, these are different pathways that merely cross at the intersection. A pathway can merge with or branch to other pathways as long as it is tangent to the other pathway or follows a natural curve. Moving jumpers. We've seen how pieces move as sliders. Now let's look at how they move as jumpers. It is the light piece player's turn, so we will begin our demonstration with this piece. A jump move is comprised of one or more jump segments. The piece being jumped may belong to either player. It will not be removed from the board when it is jumped. And it must be on an intersection that is next to the jumping piece. The intersection where the jumping piece will land must be adjacent to the piece being jumped, must be on the same path as the jumping piece, and must be unoccupied. The rules have been met, so the player executes the jump. When the jumping piece lands, that segment of the jump is complete. The player may now end their turn and flip the piece over, or if there is another valid jump segment, may continue jumping. Unlike sliders, jumpers may change the direction and path of travel, but only between jump segments. It is important to remember that jumpers follow the same pathways as sliders during a jump segment. In a complex jump move, it is possible and acceptable for a piece to jump over another piece multiple times. At this point, there are no further jump segments, so the move must end. The piece is flipped over so that the felt side is visible. As we have seen, jumpers require other pieces in order to move. This light piece is stranded because there are no valid jump segments available. This move by the dark piece player provides the light piece player with an opportunity to move the stranded piece. The resulting jump not only frees the stranded piece, but also lets the player reach an endpoint and exit the board. This dark piece is now stranded, so it will need to be rescued. The moral of this story? Don't depend on the other player's pieces when planning a jumping move. A few final rules and strategy hints. If on your turn you are unable to move any piece, you must forfeit the game. Passing a turn is not allowed. These rules can hinder or help you win the game. They will hinder if all of your pieces are jumpers and you have nothing to jump. They can help by encouraging players to move off of their endpoints or risk their pieces being surrounded and blocked in. Let's recap the rules. Pieces start in their player's home territory and are placed on intersections with the felt side up. With the felt side up, pieces slide along the lines and smooth curves on the board. Sliders may not move past another piece on their pathway. With the felt side down, pieces jump over other pieces that sit on adjacent intersections. Multiple jumps per move are allowed. Each jump is a segment of the entire move. Each jump segment must follow the same lines and curves used by sliders. Once a piece lands, it is between segments. It may continue jumping in any direction. Pieces that are jumped are not removed from the board. At the end of the turn, the piece moved is turned over. This changes how the piece will move in the future. If you are unable to move on your turn, you must forfeit the game. Passing a turn is not allowed. The first player with all of their pieces off the board wins the game. Thank you for watching. For more information and to purchase this and other games and puzzles, please visit www.gamepuzzles.com.